And welcome back to Alive and Free. Melissa Bacelar, we have you on at this point in time. Okay, I'm going to start this way. How does a person who places dogs with celebrities for movies and whatnot end up on a podcast talking about all things, associated with mental health, getting better, overcoming kind of problems and all these others? It seems like it's not the exact most intuitive pairing.
That is the question that I am asked all the time. Like, how did this happen? You're just this woman who wants to rescue dogs, yet you were brutally attacked, emotionally raped. I mean, it has been a big emotional roller coaster after the past really 10 years. Um, I mean, do I start at the beginning? Would you like me to
Yeah.
tell you the whole
Yeah,
story?
now that we've piqued everybody's interest.
I know.
Okay,
Um,
brutally attacked, emotionally raped. Were you rescuing dogs at the time?
oh
Was it
yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
covert ops mission? Like,
Yeah,
give us some
exactly. I know
details.
it all sounds super. I mean, when I start to explain to people like, "Oh, I've had to hire security guards, I've had to, do all the," they're like, "Wait, you rescue dogs?" I'm like, "Oh, I know. I know. I rescue dogs." So, basically, I, moved to Los Angeles like most women in their 20s. I'm not in my 20s anymore, but obviously, um, to be an actress. And was doing that for a long time, and then I had my first son and I decided, like driving around for auditions isn't this great thing. Like I've always rescued dogs. I am going to turn this into my full time gig. I am going to bring my son to work with me. I had a tiny little location in the heart of Studio City, and we're just going to rescue dogs. Like, I'm going to rescue dogs. My mom came in and worked with me, and she would watch the baby. We would bring in 5 or 10 dogs at a time. I would sell like holistic products for the dogs. And it was just like this great, really fun thing for me that I really felt strongly about. And I was so excited to be able to figure out a way to make a living, and still do something positive that I felt great about. Um, Fast forward, I adopted 2 dogs to a woman, and I will never forget the day she came in and she just wanted these puppies, and she started asking me all these questions. She was like, "Wow, this little shop is super busy." I go, "Yeah, we're in Studio City. Like most people that do dog rescue do it out of their house. I just am a little bit more business minded. I decided to put it here, and we have a lot of walk-in traffic. We adopt a lot of dogs." Okay. She's like, "Wow. Like your engagement ring is beautiful. How long have you been married?" And weird question. Okay. Anyway, she started asking me all these questions about my ring, the shoes I was wearing, my purse, my car. "Oh, is that your car parked in the bed? It's a Mercedes." Yeah. Now, she knew nothing about me. I met her for 10 minutes. I will tell you, still to this day, fast forward, it's 11 years now, actually. If she was sitting next to me right now or walked down the street in front of me, I would not recognize her. I do not know what this woman looks like. I talked to her for a whole of 20 minutes. About 2 weeks after she adopted her dogs, it started. She texted me, "One of the dogs is sick." I said, "Oh my God, our policy is simple. If your dog gets sick, even though it's past, the normal time frame, happy to bring the dogs back here. I will get them vet checked. I'll get them to the hospital." "No, no, no. I want to bring them to my hospital, this and that." Okay. Fast forward. My vet bills are over $20,000. And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but you signed a contract. Like, we will take care of vet bills with our vets. We can't with you." Really thought nothing of it. About 3 months later, I'm presented while I'm adopting out another dog, talking to a client. Woman walks in. "Are you Melissa?" "Yes." Hands me a lawsuit that is 144 pages long.
Wow.
I'm like, "Oh my God." So the woman who I adopted these 2 dogs to was an attorney. Apparently an attorney that doesn't work much because she spent the next 11 years suing me. She started this first lawsuit. She found another plaintiff who said their dog was sick after they adopted. Not the same litter, whatever. I mean, it was just this crazy thing how they even communicated. Then the really weird stuff started to happen. The dogs that she adopted two. There were three siblings that got adopted to other people. Those people were contacted by her. Now, their dogs were healthy, but they were contacted by her. She somehow, through stalking my social media, through infiltrating everything in my life, found people's social medias, phone numbers. She actually called one of the people. They said they were in their car driving. They put her on speaker, and the woman started screaming at them that their dog was going to get sick and die. And the woman's like, "I've had my dog for 2 months. The dog's fine." Anyway, I thought that that was just, she just wanted money and, she was suing me and it would be over, which is normally like what most frivolous lawsuits like this are for. The lawsuit went on for 3 years, that first one. For 3 years, she bashed me. She silently followed me again on social media. She would comment and email and DM any person who made any kind of comment, good or bad, on any of my social media platforms, Yelp. She would talk to them. Um, During this time, I got pregnant with my second son and I decided to open a dog hotel. Now, I had never owned a dog hotel. I just decided to open it and I was working really hard getting it together. She somehow talked to several employees that worked there. She got one of them to be her spy
Mm.
and send her client lists and pictures of things that were going on. No, I didn't find this out till many years later. Um, but I always had this feeling like somebody was watching me. And no matter what I said, it was being scrutinized. And I always wondered like how and why. So after that initial lawsuit, which, like I said, went almost, I think, 3 or 4 years, we settled. Our insurance company finally settled. And at the end of it, the lawyer that the insurance company had made me hire, because again, I had never been sued before in my life. So I didn't know, like, I just trusted this lawyer. I trusted what he said was good. And he's like, look, let's just get out of this. Like, once she gets a settlement, she'll be fine. So I didn't push hard for the settlement agreement. I just was like, great, it's over. Let's just sign, let the insurance company give her her money and let me move on with my life. Right. Because for anybody out there who's ever been sued, when you are reading the things that these people write about you, it doesn't occur to you that anybody can say whatever they want. I mean, she wrote 144 pages of how horrible of a human being I was. She literally dissected every little inch of my life. Oh, she was a failed actress. Her kid wears this. I mean, just things that really had nothing to do with the case, shouldn't have mattered. But reading these things about yourself really put you in such a depressive state, right? But again, I thought it was going to be over. Once she got her check, it was
So,
going to be over.
so in those 3 years, then, like, how constant was the bombardment for you? Was it just periodically you'd run into it and it'd be in the back of your mind, or was it?
Yes. The first 3 years, it was periodic. It was, like I said, I had just opened the dog hotel, and then employees from the dog hotel were like texting me things like, "Oh, this woman Kimberly called me and like what like who is she? She's saying these things about you." So I would hear things and it would kind of freak me out, but again, I couldn't have imagined at that point that it would have went on past the lawsuit being over. So I just kept thinking to myself, let's just get through this. Let's just get this lawsuit over. Let's settle. Like that was what I wanted, right? But there would be, because the thing with a lawsuit like that, or I don't know if it was her or if it was people she was associated with, but they would write things on Yelp. Oh, she's being sued for this. Oh, she's being sued for being a fraud. She's being sued for being a scammer. So, my favorite analogy is if I made grilled cheese and I sold 120 grilled cheese a month, there'd probably be two or three people that didn't like the grilled cheese. There'd be maybe 50 that loved it. There'd be 10 that thought it was a bad deal. Like this is just being in business and being a human. But when people are annoyed at you or mad at you for whatever reason. They have some kind of customer complaint and they find these bad Yelp reviews or they find this lawsuit. They are going to take that for point blank. They're going to take it for the truth and they're going to come at you with it. So during that first 3 year period, I literally had to watch everything I said on social media. I would second guess myself constantly. And I would always be defensive. Any human that walked in, any person that I hired, anybody who was a client, like I was like, oh God, are they going to find this? Are they going to say something bad about me? Are they going to think I'm a bad person? Are they going to think I'm lying? That was constantly in my mind. And it
So
was diminishing me slowly.
yeah, so I typically work with people who have been in addictive behaviors and who are struggling in their relationships and whatnot. There's an interesting parallel to what you're discussing, right? Uh,
100%. Yes.
because I mean, for both parties in it, it's not just one side that does it. But a person who, for instance, is having these behaviors, they're struggling with a pornography addiction or some other type of addiction, or they're really depressed or something. Their spouse might read something online and go, "Oh, this is them," aka like your Yelp review, and then turn around and assume that that is actually the truth about the other person. And so then the
Yeah.
other person over time is trying to say, look, no, I'm not, that's not actually what's going on. But then they're in a way kind of being gaslit, going, I feel like I have to defend the truth, but now I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know. Am I that? And because you're getting labeled all of these
100%.
other kinds of things. And so that's an interesting parallel. I also think it's fascinating for many people. I've said, look, I think we could take any one person's life, we could look at it, and we could make a pretty epic story about some either aspect of their life or the whole thing, or the if we got rid of this idea that they're boring, we might actually see some pretty amazing things in any human on the planet. I failed to remember, and you reminded me of this, that the opposite is also true, that we can look at any person in their life, we can dissect everything, and we can make a pretty miserable story about every person that's in front
Every
of us.
person. Yes.
So much so that I will tell people that when somebody else is talking at you, I'm not talking about normal conversation, but if you're having this sort of confrontation thing, you have to remember that what they're talking to is the idea they have about you in their head. They're not actually talking to you. And so I call this Operation Stealthy Gremlin. I'm like, you just imagine there's a little gremlin in front of you that they pasted your face on and they named the same name and they're talking to that. And
Right.
you don't have to take it personal anymore because they're actually talking to their idea, something in their own head, and they're having a hard time. What's interesting, though, in your case is that this has very, very real ramifications in, like, financially, in, legally, and all kinds of other things, where it's not just we're having a confrontation and they're having an emotion. It's we're having a confrontation, they're having an emotion, and that emotion is leading them to essentially attack in whatever way they can you and get other people to attack you. So
Yeah.
this starts to spiral for you to the point where you are having other people start to think certain things about you, I'm assuming, as well as her. What did you do? Where did it go?
Well, the crazy part, you're reminding me of bits and pieces of the story because, again, this started 11 years ago. And the rescue community is very small, right? Like, there's only a certain number of vets that will do like low cost spay neuter and low cost vetting. There's, a bunch of women that rescue dogs that work with the shelters. Well, because of her assault on me, all of these rescue women decided that that's who I was. I
Hmm.
was a scammer. I was horrible. I was selling sick dogs purposefully, all these things. And they started telling the shelters and complaining to the shelters about me, saying, "Oh, don't let her get dogs from these shelters because she'll just not give them any vet care. She'll not do this." Animal control would come in and do investigations on us like once a month. They never once found a violation, but it was like, look, we have to investigate you because these are the claims that are being made. And I'm like, oh my God. So all these government agencies, vets wouldn't work with me. Oh, we got a bunch of complaints. We got a bunch of phone calls from people saying that like you're not ethical. I'm like, are you kidding me? So everything was very difficult. Everything in my life was difficult. And like you said, even though you know the truth, you sit there and go, am I, am I doing something wrong? Like, should I not do this? Like, what, you second guess yourself and you lose faith in yourself and you stop seeing the bigger picture because you're just trying to survive. Like, I was just trying to survive every day. So we get to the end of this first lawsuit and, they get a small settlement and it was over and the settlement agreement is signed. And, like I said, my mother, this is another terrible thing. Like you're dealing with family, right? My mother was named in the lawsuit just because she was in the business with me. She helped us pay for it. It was our first business. And she was like, I don't want to be involved anymore. I don't want to be involved in rescue. Like that was crazy. We had to be sued because my parents, at the time, my husband and I didn't own anything, but my parents did. So like their whole livelihood was being kind of put under observation and like, oh, if something really bad happens, they're the ones that are probably gonna have to pay for all this. So anyway, my mom stepped away and then I was left with like, all right, I'm just going to do the dog hotel now. And I really thought, naively, I really thought it was going to be over. So we opened our dog hotel. We had a few years of like peace and quiet. So I thought, I assumed she went away. Um, it was right before the pandemic. We opened a second dog hotel and then things were going like really well. I made a comment on Instagram about being in a parking lot and somebody was selling dogs out of their car or something like that. I don't even remember the exact wording I used. And I simply said that I think all rescuers or any person that loves dogs, if they saw dogs in danger, they would be like, oh my God, give me those dogs. Like, what are you doing? Well, apparently that violated our settlement agreement. So she came after me again. And I was like, all right, whatever. At that point, I had a little bit more money. I was feeling a little bit more confident. I was like, what does she want? We went to mediation. I was like, she wants 25 grand here. Boom, wrote a check, done. Thought it was over. So the pandemic hits. My dog hotels had no clients because no one was traveling. So I said, hey, like, how long can the pandemic be? A month or two? Let's just rescue more dogs. This is what I like doing. Let's just bring in more dogs. I have 24-hour staff. We'll rescue as many dogs as we can during this time. And we'll just, you know, make sure they have good homes and they have a place to go, whatever. Well, who knew that that was going to be like the biggest thing I could have ever done in my life? Within months of that, weeks of that, I had Ellen DeGeneres adopting, The Rock adopting, Jennifer Aniston, Sandra Bullock. Like it was just like this influx of celebrities adopting from me. My Instagram blew up. We went from 16,000 followers to like 250,000 followers. I was on every TV show, every reality show. The Kardashians adopted from, I mean, it was just like one thing after another. It was publicity, publicity, publicity. I had an adopter who's an investor and he owns a lot of properties in LA. He's like, listen, like, let's make this bigger. Let's get you land. Let's rescue more dogs. And I'm like, okay. He was like, I am going to throw the gala of the year for you. He has this restaurant called Yamashiro. It's like one of the fanciest, most celebrated sushi restaurants in the top of Hollywood. And like, he's like, I will give it to you. Well, I'll pay for all of the food and the drinks. And I mean, it was like a $300,000 gala that he was putting on for us. Entertainment Tonight was involved. Tom Bergeron was our host. Jenna Dewan was our celebrity spokesperson because she adopted. I mean, we were like at the top of what I thought a rescue could be. And through it, like I said, I still was feeling a little bit like everything I say is being scrutinized. The other rescues absolutely hated me by this point. There were still things popping up online, but they weren't as frequent. I had hired a woman to kind of run the dog hotels. Um, and I ended up firing her because I found some bad things that she was doing. Now, I think that's where my big mistake was. She knew because I always would talk about this lawyer who sued me. I always say, like, God, anything we do, she's going to scrutinize. We have to be careful the way we word things and say things and blah, blah, blah. Well, next thing you know, I'm at my gala. I am like on every news station, on all these entertainment things, whatever. Thought we were like gonna skyrocket. I had two companies wanting to do reality TV shows about us. And I'm sitting at my gala, and we had security there because there were celebrities. And a man walks up to me and he goes, Melissa. And I was just doing my speech. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you've been served at my gala in front of all of my sponsors, all of our supporters, all these celebrities. And I just smiled and I put the lawsuit away and I was like, this is my night. I am not going to deal with this right now. And it wasn't until later I found out how this all happened. But anyway, that night after the gala, I went and read and it would hear her name suing me, trying to pursue a class action lawsuit with three plaintiffs. One was a boyfriend and girlfriend that adopted one dog, and one was a single woman that adopted one dog. And I read it. And again, it was like 200 pages long. And in this lawsuit, she talked about the exact price of my car. Like it wasn't like, oh, she pays probably $500 a month for her car. It was like she pays $1,142.87 for her car every month. Like, what? Her kids go to this school. She buys this face cream. She spent this much at Gucci. Like, I mean, just like unbelievably specific things. This is her house. This is I mean, just crazy. So I'm reading this lawsuit and I'm like, why and how does she have all this information? She had private vet documents from our vet's office. She had, I mean, like the list goes on. It was so wild. Within 24 hours, there was a hate website up that posted the entire lawsuit, every single page. There was an Instagram page. Every comment on every Instagram post that I put up, like anybody, oh, that dog's cute. Check out Truth About Wagmor Pets. Check out that, like, just like people on Instagram, people on Yelp, people on Facebook, just like one after another, any comment going after them with this website, like as if it was the absolute truth, this lawsuit. Um, and I mean, they dug up every bad Yelp review. I mean, the website must have taken someone hours and hours and days. It was so intricate and it was so detailed. And it was just the most ridiculous thing you would ever see. And my first thought was like, I need to get this taken down. It's defamation, it's slander. And I kept getting hit with, no, you're a public figure. You can't have any of that taken down. People couldn't, a lawsuit is public knowledge. At that point, the depression sunk in because I was like, I have worked so hard. I have spent countless hours getting to exactly like where I wanted to be my entire life. Like, this is like my dream coming true. And in 5 seconds, it just detonated, you know? She took that lawsuit, made it seem like every single word was absolute truth. She then went to every sponsor, every client, and emailed it and called. I mean, called
Did you
to
ever
the
find
point.
out her motivation? Like, did you ever find out, like, I mean, this is a lot of effort to put in, and I mean, a lot of effort to put in, and people only do that when there's something that there's a motivating factor. Did you ever find out exactly what it is?
This has been the ongoing question that every lawyer I've hired, because there have been about five, has asked her, and her response, and we actually like I didn't even get to the juicy part. Eventually we subpoenaed like all of the emails from one of my employees because we found out that she actually
Yeah,
was she
covert
had two
operations.
employees,
Yeah.
yes, that were working for me that were giving her client lists and sponsors. So we read all the emails, and she literally would write in these emails. This is at the time, and she was like, "I've been trying to take her down for 7 years. I'm on vacation right now, and I'm still working on this." She never her she hides behind saying that she thinks I don't do a good job at rescue, even
Which
though
is
I
fair. People can have an opinion, you
which
know.
is fair. That's
Yeah.
her opinion. And again, like I've rescued over 7,000 dogs. Have any of them ever been sick? Of course. Like they're living things. That's what she says, that she wants to take me down because she doesn't think I do a good job at rescue. But I mean, could that really be it? That's the only reason she's ever given. And she said she will not stop until she bankrupts me, until I go under. Um, I mean, she had animal control investigate me for animal abuse. That was probably the lowest point in my life. I was hysterically crying, and I had to go in for this investigation. And my husband was saying to me, like, Melissa, you put spiders that are deadly in cups and bring them outside. Like, you don't abuse animals. And I'm like, I know, but like, why am I being investigated for? And obviously the case got closed, and they had the proof that they said they had was falsified, and it was the whole thing. Um,
So wait, I got a couple questions for background.
yes,
So
please.
you have this relationship with dogs that you've and other animals, but dogs in particular, you've had for a long time. Um, where did that come from? Where did this
You know, my mom said since I was 5 years old, I we would be at a party and everybody would be hanging out and talking, and I'd be in the corner with the dogs. You
okay?
know, I just have always loved dogs, and so many times over these past 10 years, I've been like, walk away, walk away. Like, just stop rescuing dogs. You know, I have 9 dogs of my own. And I've thought, like, just stop rescuing them and just do something else. I mean, I could do anything and make more money probably than I'm making rescuing dogs. But what's going to happen to them if I stop? That was what got me through. Like the mornings that I would wake up and sit in my closet in my house and cry. Now, mind you, I have 2 children. I have my 9 dogs. I have about 80 dogs in my care at any given time. And I choose to do all those things. And I would wake up and I'd sit in my closet and I would cry. And I would just sit there and cry. And I'd be like, I just don't want to do this today. I just want to stay in bed. I don't want to do this. I don't want to get through this day because I don't know what's going to happen. Like, who is going to, I mean, I had people calling me and wishing death upon me. I had people outside of my building that would just like run in and be like, you're animal abusers. I had an LA Times article written about me. I mean, like, so many awful things. And it just seemed like every day something else awful would happen. And it just seemed like if I stopped rescuing dogs, that it would go away or stop. But what would happen to those dogs? That's what kept me going.
Yeah.
Like
So
I
like
would go, no one else is going to take on. I mean, you know, I have some dogs that have been living with us for 3 years at the rescue. No one's taking them.
yeah, so what you're describing is basically like in physical form what a lot of people are afraid of. Like you're describing a situation where what most people are afraid of actually happens, which is the world is going to think this about me. Like the fear that most people deal with in many different aspects of their life is like, what are the neighbors going to think about me? What is my mom
Right.
going to think about me? What is my dad going to think about me? Like, what am I going to think about me if I do this? And this
Right.
worry about public opinion. And yeah, sure, maybe people make comments or people have opinions, but what you're describing is essentially a situation where the worries in in other people's heads are like a physical reality for you. Like you don't
Mhm.
have to worry about what other people think about you because you can see it in print
Yes.
and
Yes.
on a lawsuit and like all of these sort of catastrophic things that other people would sort of write in movie scripts in their head about what would happen is what's happening in your life. So you're in a place, you're on the ground, you're crying, you're in your closet, like everything seems to be falling apart. And you're motivated by taking care of the dogs. And so
And my
you have
kids and my
and
children.
yeah, pay the bills, take care of everybody that you
Yes.
need to take. Yeah. So there's some motivation that keeps you going. That keeps your feet moving. Um, what about like your well-being though? What did you do something? Did you succumb to it for a while and just really suffer? Or was there something that like there was a moment of decision where you stepped up and you were like, okay, something has to shift here or I'm not going to be able to handle this? What did you do?
Yeah. So I remember I knew the LA Times article was coming out, right? And like I said, there was this website and there was this Instagram page, this like hate pages against me. And they would let me know what was going on. Like I wouldn't comment, but I would watch. And I'm sitting there and I kept seeing like, oh, the LA Times article's coming out this week. And I thought that was just going to be the end. Like I thought, okay, now everybody that kind of likes me and doesn't know that this is going on in my life is going to read this, think it's true. My kids' school, other parents, like I thought it was going to be the end. But I kept putting on a smile. I kept putting on this brave face, right? Which was totally false. I mean, people would literally say to me daily, like, I don't know how you get through every day. You're so strong. And I'm like thinking it's all fake. It's all hair, makeup, and, lights and mirrors. And
And I'll be in my
it,
trailer.
yeah, exactly. The article came out. And I mean, like I said, I really thought, and I read it. And I read it like what it was saying. I read through the like clickbait headline and like celebrity dog adopter, like, killing dogs or what. I don't even remember. And I read it and everything said, I couldn't find proof of this, but the allegations, and I'm like, hold on. Anybody who reads this, who really reads it and doesn't want to not like me, right? People that don't want to like me are going to only see the bad. But anybody who reads this is going to go, well, this is kind of bull. Like, there's like no proof. And that was the moment I remember just waiting for it to come out. And I was home and I was in my room and I was in the dark and I just like probably ate 3 bags of potato chips or something because that was my, I don't drink or anything like that. So food was my thing. And I read it and I thought, well, if this is their worst, I'm still here and this is bullshit. And I said, this is me and my mind and my nervous system creating panic. So far, every single thing these people have thrown at me, I'm still here. I'm still adopting dogs. I'm still paying my bills. I still have 2 healthy kids.
Yep, 100% success rate so far.
Exactly. So I said I have 2 choices. Either I give up, go do something else, say, forget it, I'm done, I'm going bankrupt, I'm doing this, or I just fight. And I have a really good friend who is a healer and very spiritual. And I called her and she's like, I've been waiting for this moment. Let's sit back and let's look at what's going on. And I decided at that moment, once that article kind of saved my life. It's funny because I remember the screenshot of this woman that worked for me, and she wrote, three attorneys, and what did she write? She wrote, 3 attorneys and the LA Times are coming after Melissa. She's probably shaking in her designer jeans. That's what she wrote. And I wrote, I'm laughing in my designer jeans, in my beautiful house with my beautiful kids and my 9 dogs and my successful business and my husband and all these people around me that love me. And I'm not giving up.
So
And
that
so I started,
I think that's important to pause on, because people who are in these situations, regardless of what the situation is, and some of them are far more dire. Like if you're
yes, yeah,
feeling like domestic abuse or something, or well,
right.
but there's always a bigger picture, and it. I mean, as humans, we get sucked into the details that are happening that are the most intense, and because that's where our attention goes, we sort of behave and start to operate like that's the only thing in existence. And this moment where you pause and you go like, hold on, what do my actual senses tell me about what reality is? And you have this moment of realization of like, oh, wait a second. Okay, yeah, this intense thing's been happening. I'm not ignoring that. But hey, look, my husband hasn't left. He doesn't believe them. My kids are still here. We're doing fine. The business is okay. The sun is shining. you know, the wind blows. I laugh at things. We have some decent food. It sort of balances things out. You haven't changed the situation at all, but the
No,
realization that the problem is not as big as it felt is a solid first step for anybody in any situation, even abuse, to
yeah,
recognize that there are moments, lots of moments where you're not being abused. Doesn't take away from those intense moments that we still got to deal with, but it does make it go like, okay, cool, but this isn't 100% of my life.
right.
And you don't have to get identified with the problem. You don't have to be like, I'm a survivor of this. Well, yes, you survived that. And you're also a human being who's done so many other things in your life. And you've had all these incredible thoughts and all these incredible experiences. And how about we identify with that too? You know?
Right. And that was exactly it. That's exactly it. Because it wasn't going to stop. I mean, the lawsuit at that point was still going. I still was dealing with angry customers that would find this and be like, I'm not going to adopt from you. What if the dog is sick? But all those things were still happening. But I knew somehow it was going to be okay. And in that moment, I said, that's it. I need to control where my brain is going with this. And I realized that nothing was going to get better in panic. Nothing was going to get better in depression. Nothing was going to get better in this, like, woe is me, feeling horrible for myself state, right? And I started to learn the tools to make my nervous system calm down and feel better and actually see what was really going on. And at that point, it was so interesting because I think we were on the verge of bankruptcy because I could not pay my legal fees anymore. Because believe me, fighting a class action lawsuit is not exactly cheap. And we just couldn't afford it anymore. And all of a sudden, we got a letter, and the insurance company was like, oh my God, we're so sorry we denied this claim for so long. We're going to pay for your representation. And
Oh,
like everything started getting positive. And I'm like, okay, that's a win. Okay, the article's not that bad. That's a win. Okay, like things are going to start moving in the right direction. And at that point, once I started really sitting back, taking a breath, understanding, like, okay, I'm feeling panicked right now. Why am I feeling panicked? What is this panic actually saying to me right now? Like, what am I actually panicked about? And really looking at reality, like, okay, right this second might not be the best moment in my life, but that doesn't mean that I'm never going to have a good moment again. Like, we will get past this. And I started using these tools to get past it. And I would feel the emotion. I would think about the emotion and try to understand where it was coming from, like what it really was coming from, not that 3 a.m. wake up in a panic, like nothing's ever going to be okay again. The actual, like, okay, what is this? What am I panicked about? I would delete that feeling, like the feeling, like, let's just say I was panicking, like, I'm never going to adopt a dog again. No one's going to adopt for me. Well, that's not true.
so
So
you're
instead of,
deleting it was not suppressing it. It was
no, you
like,
have to feel it.
yeah. So just to be clear, so you're deleting the feeling. Not You're not turning yourself into a numb person. What you did was
No.
feel it for sure, and then bring again awareness. of reality to the table.
Exactly.
Okay.
And my thing was really feeling it. Like if I felt panic, I was like, let's go. I'm panicked right now, and that's okay. I am going to sit here in this panic till I figure out what the panic is actually about. And I would panic, breathe, I would feel it, I would feel into it. Okay, why am I panicking? Okay, I'm panicking because I feel like I'm never going to be able to pay rent. Okay, that's a valid thing to be panicked about, right? So like panic about not being able to pay rent. Now, can I really not pay rent or am I just making that up? And I would sit back, I would breathe into the emotion. I would think of all the things I was grateful for. I would make sure that that thought was no longer in my head. And then I would fill it with something positive and I would move forward. And there were days that I did that 300 times because you keep getting into those modes, like you're feeling fine, you're walking down the street, you're having a great day, you're, you know, talking to somebody, and then something triggers you. I mean, we're human beings. We are going to feel those emotions. And I think it was being okay with the emotions, feeling the emotions, deciding what the true meaning of those emotions were, deleting it and replacing it with something positive. That's when I started that, which was several years ago. And I mean, I still use these techniques. There's
Right.
still
And I mean,
mornings I wake up like
I'm
upset.
assuming it's become more automatic for you. Like in the beginning,
Yes.
very difficult to figure out what you were panicked about or worried about. So, and once you found it, very difficult to kind of get it out of your head. And then that has become because of it, you've trained it,
Right.
hundreds of times in a day. Like when I talk to people, I teach them emotional ninjutsu. It's a different approach, similar idea. And you train it, and then you get your yellow belt, and then your blue belt, and then your green belt, and you move up through the ranks to where it's a little bit more automatic. So now I'm assuming things derail you far less time. Is that right?
100%. And even when something triggers me, I'm like, okay, that's triggering me. This is why. And like you said, it's quicker, right? Because I'm up there. I'm up there in my belts. I don't know the ranks of the belts, but I'm up there. But yeah, in the beginning, sometimes it would take a long time to come out of that panic or the depression or the sadness or the fear or the anger or whatever the emotion was. And I was okay with it. Like I was like, okay, I'm just angry right now. I'm pissed. Why am I pissed? And you would just figure it out. Um, and like you said, I'm not a numb person at all. I still have all of those emotions. Especially because I have a 13-year-old now. So believe me, he gets me to all parts of the emotional spectrum. But it's a tool that I've learned and I use every day.
And you call it the unshakable process, right?
I call it the unshakable process because now I live in Los Angeles, so I don't know how many people that are going to be listening to this live in Los Angeles, but I live in a world where every person wants to sue you for everything. So, and it used to be a trigger. Now I think of it like I had a woman the other day mad because I wouldn't adopt a dog to her for various reasons. And she's like, I'm going to sue you. Okay. Where I feel like 10 years ago, that would have put me into a panic. Now I'm kind of unshakable. I'm like, great, I'll see you in court. Like I just don't care because I've been through it. I've survived this far. No matter what gets thrown at me, I will survive and I will be okay. I'm not saying everything's going to be easy. That's unfortunately not life, but I know how to deal with the things now and I can move past it.
Yeah. And what I think is beautiful about what we're saying here is because there's no resolution really to the story with the other lady. We're not at a place where we get to have this like Disney happy ending with everybody listening. And they're like, but how did it end? And how did you come off as the underdog that conquered? It was like you changed the game entirely. And you're like, I'm not going to play that game anymore because that game's all about trying to control the outside world in order for me to be okay. And you were like,
Right.
I can't control that. And so now I'm going to do this on the inside. And I still live in a world where everybody has an opinion and they want to force it on you and they want to control their outside world for them to be okay. And you happen to be a part of that outside world. And
Right.
so, but you're like, look, if as long as I'm identified with the outside world, I'm hosed. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do. But if I can step back and get in touch with reality and in touch with where I want to go in my life, then like it doesn't matter. It's like wearing your life like loose clothing instead of a skin tight suit.
Right.
And I feel
Right.
like that's a huge message, that like over time it gets easier. Oh, it's not a brag to be like things don't affect me so much anymore. You're not trying to push it in their face as a status symbol. You're just like, no, no, that was hard work and it still sucks sometimes when things happen. But I'm here precisely because at some point I was forced, and I wish we didn't have to be forced. You know what I mean?
I know. If you could just like it's like that's with when you have kids, right? Like you're trying to teach them and it's like they have to go through it.
Yeah.
And I always say to my kids, like, you cannot control what people do to you or how people respond to you. The only thing you can control is how you respond to them, you know? And there's something in sitting in those feelings because before 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even, if I got a customer complaint or if somebody came at me negatively in any part of my life, I would feel I'm a people pleaser. So I would feel this immediate need to respond immediately. Like, but like, why are you upset? Please don't be upset. Where now, if somebody comes at me, if somebody writes me a bad review or a bad email or whatever, something that is triggering, I sit, I read it, I feel into it, and I don't respond right away. I allow myself to go through all the emotions of it because you can't, like you said, you can't control the outside world. You can only
I
control
mean,
yourself.
little things, but it's like less than 1% of the outside world that you have control over.
Yeah.
What I do think is interesting is this element of it being time. Like even the skill being developed over time, but at this point you're describing, it happens and I pause because so much of our emotional struggles happen because they sort of demand a speed. They like want you to speed up in your response. You make a mistake and you hurry up to cover it. Whether even that could be like singing for crying out loud, in front of somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not even big mistakes. And so this notion of like, okay, I feel this thing. Hold on, let me just step back and acknowledge that that's what's happening, and I'm gonna pause until my response comes from a better place than that.
Right. Because nothing ever works out when you're coming from a place of panic or depression or anger. Like you have to feel those things. You're allowed, like, no one can tell you what you're supposed to be feeling or how you're supposed to feel, right? Like you are allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be depressed. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be all those things. But you also have to allow yourself to sit in that until you figure out, okay, I'm sad because of this, but that doesn't really exist. This person's coming at me because they're upset about something in their life. They're not really upset with me. Let me just sit here and logically allow this to settle. And then once I'm in a better place, once my nervous system isn't going haywire, then I'll respond.
It's beautiful. So, like to wrap up for those listening, like if we were going to sum this up, is there any other piece in conjunction with this? Feel it, breathe into it, and then go create from it, as you describe, right? Is
Yeah.
there any other piece to this puzzle that would help them?
I think people just have to look at it as this can change your whole life. This course, these feelings, this response to life can help in any aspect. And it's just like you said, it's about practicing and getting there. But we just have to remember that our initial reaction isn't always the right one.
Mm. Yeah, that's great. The initial reaction? No, no. If my track record, it's
Pretty
almost
much never
never
the
the
right.
right one.
Same, same.
Um, all right. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, follow along, if you have a course associated with this kind of stuff that you've built,
I do.
where can they find you?
So if you follow me on Instagram, it's Wagmor Pets. That is the best place to find me. I answer every email on there. And we can give you direct links to the course.
That sounds good. Well, thank you, Melissa, for your time, and you have a beautiful day.
You too.
Good luck with those kids.
I know.
Hopefully they pick it up earlier than we did.
I, I really hope so. This is a tough 13. I'm watching 13 right now and going, oh God, I'm glad I'm not there anymore.
Yeah, yeah, true, true, true. All right. Well, you have a beautiful day.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye bye.